He said to the audience, "I keep an open mind." And a voice from the floor said, "But not so bloody open, your brains have fallen through it." You may be right. You may. I find it hard to give up on 40 years hard science, that's all. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about...
Yeah, but see, the point is the hard science ignores funding the research about it. You can't say it doesn't exist when it isn't funded, so therefore it doesn't exist. The hard science isn't there because you guys didn't fund it, the experts didn't fund it.
I have nothing to do with infectious disease.
Sorry.
I told you, my daughter said I made ladies pregnant. Yes, ma'am.
I hope I'm not asking you to repeat something that you've already said. The two characters that you mentioned, the book is about how they come to or fail to achieve their exit with honour?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds very
What did she say? I didn't.
Yeah, it's terribly difficult not to get stereotyped as a thriller writer. I think, and even in my funny books, I like to think there's some character growth and examination of some aspects of the human condition. Anybody in this room has followed a career must have said, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right career choice? And very often that's a leitmotif underpinning the doctor books, about seven of the guys. The question of loss of faith, I mean, I'm nowhere close to the power of Graham Greene, but his book, The Power and the Glory, about a priest losing his faith in Mexico, a whiskey priest. I'm quite sure that was gnawing at me when I wrote this book. So I hope it is more than dar dar, bang bang, you're dead, you know. Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Thank you. Well, for $19.50 you can find. Often when I adopt that pose, it's because somebody's just thrown something up. Anyway, one of the things I originally defined Fingal Flaherty O'Reilly as being a souse, foul-mouthed, ex-navy, ex-boxer, a man who cared for his patients, and a term I sort of made up myself, a crypto-philanthropist. So he didn't want people to know he was a nice guy. He would have died if people had thought of him. And this story is called Galvin's Ducks. And those of you who have read An Irish Country Doctor may recognise it, but this is the original plot line of Galvin's Ducks, all right? And it's not the same plot line as what developed into the book, okay? That man Galvin is a bloody idiot, thus spoke Dr. Fingal Flaherty O'Reilly, ex-Navy boxing champion, classical scholar, unregenerate poacher, bagpiper, souse, crypto-philanthropist, foul-mouthed bachelor, and country general practitioner. He was standing in his favourite corner of the bar of the Black Swan, as it was known to the locals, the Mucky Duck. O'Reilly's normally florid cheeks glowed crimson, and the tip of his bent nose paled. Somehow rage seemed to divert the blood from his hooter to his face. I thought it politic to remain silent. I had seen the redoubtable Dr. O'Reilly like this before. He hadn't been his usual self when we'd repaired to the hostelry after evening surgery, and now after his fourth pint, whatever was bothering him was beginning to surface like a slightly wounded U-boat. Raving bloody idiot, he muttered, taking a generous swallow of his drink and slamming the empty glass on the counter. After 6 months as his weekend locum and part-time assistant, I'd learnt my place in O'Reilly's universe. I nodded to Brendan the barman, who rapidly replaced O'Reilly's empty glass with another full of the velvet liquid product of Mr. Arthur Guinness & Sons, St. James's Gate, Dublin. Ta, said O'Reilly, the straight glass almost hidden by his big hand. I could kill bloody Seamus Galvin. He rummaged in the pocket of his rumpled jacket, produced a bar, stoked it with the enthusiasm of Beelzebub, preparing the coals for an unrepentant sinner, and fired up the tobacco. making a smokescreen that would have hidden the entire British North Sea fleet from the attentions of Panzerschiff Bismarck. I sipped my shandy and waited. "Do you know what that benighted apology for a man has done?" From the tone of O'Reilly's voice, I assumed it must have been some petty misdemeanour, like mass murder, perhaps. "No," I said helpfully. O'Reilly sighed. "He has Mary's heart broken." Now I remembered. Seamus Galvin and his wife Mary lived in a cottage at the end of one of the lanes just outside of the small Ulster town. Galvin was a carpenter by trade and a would-be entrepreneur. I'd seen him once or twice, usually because he'd managed to hit his thumb with one of his hammers. I said the man was a carpenter. I did not say he was a very good carpenter. "Broken," said O'Reilly mournfully, "utterly smashed." This intelligence came as no great surprise. Mary Galvin was the sheet anchor of the marriage, bringing in extra money by selling her baking, eggs from her hens, and the produce of her vegetable garden. Galvin himself was a complete waster. O'Reilly prodded my chest with the end of his pipe. I should have known it a few weeks ago, and he was telling me about his latest get-rich scheme. "That one, Galvin," O'Reilly said. "He couldn't make money in the Royal Mint." I could only agree, remembering Galvin's previously failed endeavours. His happy nappy diaper service had, to coin a phrase, folded. No one in the small town could afford the luxury of having somebody else wash their babies' nappies, and only the most sublime optimist could have thought that a landscaping company would have much custom in a predominantly agricultural community. Galvin had soon been banished from his Garden of Eden lawn care business, presumably because his encounters with the fruit of the tree of knowledge had been somewhat limited. I wondered what fresh catastrophe had befallen him. O'Reilly beat carelessly at an ember that had fallen from the bowl of his pipe. "Mary's the one with sense," he said. "She was in to see me a couple of weeks ago. She's pregnant." He inspected the charred cloth of his jacket. "I've known her since she was a wee girl, and I've never seen her so happy." His craggy features softened. "She told me her secret. She's been saving her money, and she had enough for Seamus and herself to emigrate to California." "Oh," I said. "Aye," said O'Reilly. "She's a brother out there. He's going to find Seamus a job with a construction company." I'd read somewhere that California was prone to earthquakes, and for a moment thought that this unfortunate geological propensity had been transmitted to Ulster, before I realised that the pub's attempt to shimmy like my sister Kate was due to O'Reilly banging his fist on the bar top. Bloody idiot and his bright ideas. He's gone into toy making. He thinks he can sell rocking ducks. Rocking ducks! He shook his head ponderously. Mary was in tonight. She was in tears. He'd taken the money she'd saved and bought the lumber to make the damn ducks. That man Galvin's a bloody idiot. O'Reilly finished his pint, shrugged and said just one more word. Home. About a month later I met Mary Galvin in High Street. She stopped me and she was bubbling with excitement. "How are you, Mary?" "Doctor," she said, "you'd never believe it." She had wonderfully green eyes and they were sparkling. "A big company in Belfast has bought all of Seamus's ducks, lock, stock and barrel." She patted her expanding waistline. "The three of us, Seamus, me and the wee one on here, we're off to California next week." I wished her well, genuinely pleased for her good fortune. It wasn't until I'd returned to O'Reilly's house that I began to wonder. He was out making a house call. For the last week he'd taken to parking his car on the street. No. He wouldn't have, would he? Would he? When I opened the garage door, a bizarre creature toppled out from a heap of its fellows. The entire base was filled to the rafters with garishly painted ducks. Rocking ducks. It only took a moment to stow the one that had made a bid for freedom and close the door. When I introduced O'Reilly, I described him, among other things, as a crypto-philanthropist. Now you know why, don't you?